Okay, boys, let's talk about the Pistons, who I do think are the biggest mess in the league right now. A lot of that because this is not year one of their rebuild. Of course, they've had a lot of bad luck. I mean, Cade getting hurt last year was a massive step back for him. Bogdanovich just came back, and they've been desperate for his shooting. Joe Harris just hasn't really played in a while for him. Monte Morris is hurt. And I will get to the weird Jaden Ivey situation, and we'll talk about the spacing around Cade, as well as say nice things about Asar. I mean, I've already said that I'm getting some Sean Marion vibes from him in his rookie season. Obviously, he's got things to build on. And we'll also talk about the defense for a bit, but I would like to start with Jaylen Duren because I just feel like he's gone like a little under the radar after his first like 3 games of the year where he went scorched earth. So in his rookie season, the thing that I was most intrigued by with Duren was his finishing on non-dunks, just how fast he could get off the floor, the way he was finishing with either hand, occasionally busting out a post move, and just randomly contorting his body in midair, it felt like sometimes. And his percentages at the rim have held up in his second season, but what I've been intrigued by this year for Duren has been his eagerness to get the team in some sort of a handoff actions, whether it's with Cade or Killian or Ivy, when Ivy's been able to get involved like that. And besides just adding extra variety, I've also liked how Duren has been able to occasionally like get into like some fake handoffs. Like he had a play in their last one against the Cavs where it looked like he was going to run a handoff action with Bogdanovich as Ivy set Bogdanovich an off-ball screen, but instead he just fakes it and he just gets by Jared Allen and then it's a dunk. By the way, I'm going to mention their last two against the Cavs and the Knicks a lot because that's the best that they've looked in a minute, those last 2 games. I will get to some of the uglier games and that'll be mostly when we get to the defense. I just like where Duren's head's at on these plays. Now look, he has more turnovers than assists in the season right now, so I'm not acting like he's like Sabonis, but there are some interesting signs with Duren's passing and stuff. And not just on the handoffs, but also like he'll make a kick out to like Isaiah Livers when he's got the ball in the paint and stuff. Like there's something there with Duren's passing. I will talk about how he's looking in drop defense in a little bit, but to get to the offense overall, I mean, look, these are the stats I need to give you, right? They are for the season 25th in 3-point percentage and they're 29th in 3-pointers attempted. And within that, we should acknowledge that Isaiah Stewart has shot well from 3 in about 11 or 12 of their games so far out of the 20. It's good progress, 37% on 4 a game. It's very difficult to have a good offense with those numbers, especially with how often they turn the ball over as well. They're among the league leaders in turnovers, right? And when you just watch it, so Cade, as you would expect, it's Duren pick and rolls, it's DHOs, Stewart will screen for Cade and all this. And Cade, I've said all this before, everybody knows this, like he's a pretty methodical guy around screens. He's trying to get the defender on his back, and a lot of time he'll go to the pull-up 2, or he'll try to get these floaters where his defender's kind of all over him, but he's trying to put him in jail, and it's just a lot of bodies that are just in the paint between the contact that Cade is drawing with his guy and the fact that teams are just daring the Pistons to beat him from outside. And what you have is just a mixed bag where sometimes you've got Cade lobbing it to Duren, and it looks fantastic as it did in that last one against the Cavs, or you've got him finding Isaiah Stewart on the roll. It's great. Or he's kicking it out to Killian, which the last 2 games have actually been pretty successful for Killian, but overall it's, that's going to be a mixed bag with Killian's catch and shoots and everything. And then other times it's Cade just having to deal with a lot of bodies helping in the paint. He's got his defender on his back, and he's just trying to either sort of idle around the free throw line. Maybe he'll go baseline, try to get a reverse layup or whatever. It's just some struggle possessions. I mean, one of their late ones against the Cavs, it was like Duren Cade screen, and Max Strus as well as Jared Allen sort of brought 2 to Cade for a second. And so then he's going baseline, throws it to Bogdanovich, who then drives a little bit, throws it back to Cade in the corner. We got 5 seconds left on the clock, and he's being just pressured by Max Strus. And it was just like, how did we get here? I do feel like with the amount of contact that Cade is usually drawing, I feel like he should be getting more foul calls. I do like when they just get into their stuff faster. And so you have like a couple plays in their Knicks game where it's just a simple Cade Duren pick and roll, and whether it's Mitchell Robinson dropping or if he's like in a high hedge, Cade just coming around that screen with a little more oomph can allow him to get downhill more. Like I know it sounds simple, but sometimes it is that simple. I mean, one time he hit Robinson with a really nice like in and out dribble as he's finishing on him. But at the same time, look, the numbers are the numbers. I mean, for the season, while Cade's box score numbers are good, the efficiency has not been great. I mean, he's shooting 54% at the rim. This is all NBA.com. 35% in the paint, but not at the rim. 41% from mid-range. He's at 44% from 2-point range overall. The Knicks game, he had 7 turnovers. Outside of that one, the turnovers have been cleaned up lately. We will see long-term with that one. I mean, as far as what doesn't show up in the box score with Cade, I would say in the positive sense, it's like, he draws the defense and he kicks it out to, let's say, Killian, who then swings it to Asar, who might attack off the catch. And I mean, it's like good process. It's just whether it actually goes in or not is a different conversation. On the negative side, it would be the plays where in his attempts to get the defender on his back on the screen and everything, the defender gets back around to him, and then it's like he's got to pass out to somebody and nothing really happens, and like 7 seconds went by on the shot clock, you know? Now, you do have some windows where like Killian is able to run an action, and then he's able to skip it to Cade in the corner, and then from there Cade can get his catch and shoot on, which he has been like 38% on catch and shoots. That's pretty good so far this year. And, you know, be able to catch off the drive. Like, if you could get more of that out of Cade, that would be cool. It's just, so far, Killian's been like the one other guy to have those opportunities. And a little bit of Marcus Sasser, who will occasionally cook on some pull-up jumpers, but it's not every game right now. To state the obvious, Cade has to do so much for this team's offense, which can lead us to the Jaden Ivey conversation, where the minutes have been weird, and even when he's been out there, I mean, he had like 16 shot attempts against the Pacers, so that's cool, but like his last few, like, I mean, you just watch him out there, he's just kind of floating around, existing among the Pistons offense, doing whatever it's doing, right? And then you get these occasional moments where he's turning on the Jets in transition or whatever. It's just, to me, obviously this offense needs more juice. Bogdanovich coming back helps. I feel like I've said that like 4 times already, but if they can't get the best of Jaden Ivey, which to me is either, look, if you're running actions with him on the ball, allowing him to get downhill, which is what a lot of it was last year, and it was a roller coaster between sometimes making great plays or floaters or crazy acrobatic finishes, and sometimes he's just driving into 3 dudes in the rim and he gets blocked because what else was going to happen? Or it's going to be him involved in more off-ball sets and then he's catching it on the move, able to get downhill. Like, if they can't get the best out of Jaden Ivey, I don't know how this offense approaches just being decent. But it's like they're 2-18, and Jaden Ivey is just in a weird spot with Monty Williams. And like, again, it was a roller coaster his rookie year. I'm not saying he's a perfect player, but I don't get it. And I've seen some people present it as like a Killian or Ivey conversation. I don't think it needs to be that. I think both Killian and Ivey can play in this rotation. I don't think it's like that hard to do that. Okay, let's talk defense. We all love Asar. Ball pressure, providing help, crashing the glass, everything in transition, how he always wants to do something on offense, whether he wants to cut or attack the glass or whatever. He's not perfect. He is a rookie, but I think very highly of Asar, as pretty much everybody else does. The big thing I want to talk about their defense is actually just their coverage. So it's been Jaylen Duren in drop recently, and he's been guarding 5s. Isaiah Stewart's been guarding 4s. Stewart might get a little more switchy, but with Duren, it's been a good amount of drop. And I'm not totally sure how I feel about it. I mean, if you look at their loss to the Lakers, there were a number of plays where D'Lo was coming around the screen and the screen navigation. I mean, it's going to be better with like a Sar, and Killian's one of their better defenders too. But with a lot of guys in the Pistons, the screen navigation is just not that great. And so you're just asking Duren to do a lot there. You know, and there's a couple times where like D'Lo kind of fakes a pass to AD, so then Duren hesitates for a second, and then D'Lo's got like basically an open lane to the rim. In the Pacers game, I remember a play where Duren shades to Halliburton a little too much, so Isaiah Jackson is just getting an easy layup pretty much like on a bounce pass. In the Wizards game, there was a few plays where you've got like Jordan Poole or Corey Kispert coming around a screen, and they've just got a lot of daylight, so Duren just has to basically clean up all the mess. And I mean, as far as what it looks like for Duren, I mean, I like that he's got his arms stretched out. I do think the effort is there. He does occasionally have these like great vertical contests. I do think there's also some times where he's expecting like a little more help to come from the wing or the corner, and that doesn't really show up. Now when Wiseman gets minutes, it's a little uglier. Bagley, similar thing. And as far as the numbers, I mean, they are giving up the least amount of corner threes in the league, which that is a good sign, typically with drop defense, and they're also towards the top of the league in defensive rebound percentage, also a byproduct of drop defense. However, teams are shooting really well from mid-range. They're still shooting a lot of shots at the rim anyway on them, so it just suggests that, like, well, for one, if you turn the ball over a lot, then another team might get more buckets at the rim because they're getting layups on you. But it also suggests that the drop is perhaps not going super well. At the same time, like their lineup numbers with Stewart and Duren in the game are the best defenses they have. But the other thing with Duren too is that he's mobile, right? And so you would think, well, could he handle a little more like hedging and recovering? And I mean, he's switched at certain times of his career. Isaiah Stewart has experience switching on the ball as well. I mean, for what it's worth in the Laker game, there was one play where they tried to put 2 on the ball on D'Lo, and then AD got himself a very easy layup. So again, that was a whole thing just to say, I don't know what to think of the defense besides it hasn't been that great, but also the offense isn't doing it a lot of favors. So yeah, to sum this whole thing up, I'm in a weird spot with the Pistons where, like, I mean, they're 2-18. What else is there to think? But I still like most of the players on the team, and I'm sure Bogdanovich trade rumors will pop up at some point this year. I mean, I've kind of held firm on this, unless I haven't, in which case I'm not remembering right, but I feel like I've always kind of been like, I think he's worth more to them playing than he is as a trade asset. So yeah, I don't know. Pistons fans, you're going to get a high draft pick. There you go.